Every complication, every communication you've had, from the day you're born till the day you die, has to tick 3 boxes to be successful. It's got to have impact. It's got to communicate. And it's got to be persuasive. And it's got to happen that way round. Impact to get you on the radar, because obviously without impact there's nothing there. There might be a bloke on the street outside now telling us the secret of all life, but we'll never know because we can't hear him. We don't know he's there. Impact, without impact nothing happens. If you've got impact but I don't know what you want, nothing happens. A grenade, hand grenade's got impact but I don't know what it wants. If you've got impact and you say it in a language I can understand, well, we're part way there, but still, unless I know a reason I should do it, nothing's going to happen. You've got to have the 3 things, it's got to happen this way round. That's everything. And it's not hard work. People make such drama out of this. If I'm sitting at home watching the TV and I'm watching the football, and I want a cup of tea. But I don't want to make a cup of tea because I might miss a goal. So what I really want is the wife to make me a cup of tea. She's sitting there, she's not watching the football. She could make me a cup of tea. If I just sit there and don't say anything, it isn't going to happen. I've got to get on her radar. So I'll say, Kath. And eventually she'll say, what? Now, I've got impact. It's no good me saying to her, smooth, warm, sweet, delicious, soothing, like most commercials do, hinting around the fucking product. I've got to say in a language she understands, make us a cup of tea. So, I've got impact, I've got communication. But at the moment she doesn't see what she's going to say to me, well, why don't you do it yourself? She doesn't see why she should do it. So, in order to close a sale, I've got to think, well, what's in it for her? So I think, right, I know she doesn't like putting the garbage out, and it's a midweek match, let's say, so she doesn't like putting the garbage out, and the garbage men are coming round tomorrow. So I'll say to her, look, after this match is over, I'll put the garbage out if you make us a cup of tea now. And if she thinks that's a good deal, I'll get a cup of tea. I've got a sale. Now, can you think of any reason why every advert shouldn't have those 3 things in it? Why I'm ever going to have a brief that says, I want persuasion, but I don't want impact or communication. I don't want anybody to see this ad, and I don't want anybody to understand it, but I want it to be persuasive. Is that ever going to happen on an ad? Brief like that? Or, I want this brief to be impactful, I want everybody to see it, but I don't want them to know what I'm saying, and I don't want them to know why they should buy it. Is that? No. You're never ever going to spend money without needing those 3 things to happen in the punter's mind. This looks really simple, and it is, the power in it is it's simple, but actually that's also a hierarchy of marketing comms. That's also if you want to look at your marketing comms and your spend, impact would more than likely be broadcast media, so that would be outdoor posters or TV, where you get people, but you can't actually do anything with it. All you can do here is awareness. Then communication is more likely to be online, telling people why they should buy it, why it's a good thing, or where to find it. And certainly persuasion, actually being able to click on it and buy it, that's got to be online. That can't be awareness media, that can't be outdoor. So what you've then got a hierarchy of marketing comms, how things should work, how you're walking people from not knowing your product exists to actually buying it. You can also use this this is much more creative, art director and copywriter here, planner here, client and account handler here. You can use this for who's asked to kick if it goes wrong, like a football team. If the goalie lets in a goal, you don't go and kick the striker's arse, you kick the goalie's arse. Here, if people are seeing your ad but they're not persuaded by it, you don't kick the art director and copywriter's arse, you kick the client and the marketing people's arse. You know how this works. If you've got a persuasive argument but nobody's seeing your ads, you don't kick the marketing department's arse, you kick the creative department's arse. Because you keep it really simple, you now have access to what you want to happen powerfully and simply, instead of confused with all the obfuscation of long, hard to understand language where everybody can hide. Yeah? So, but we know from the numbers we just saw, 4% remember positively, 7% remembered negatively, 89% not noticed or remembered. Here, we know this is the big failure in impact. 89% isn't getting noticed or seen. Here. And Bill Bernbach said, if no one sees your advertising, everything else is academic. We spend all our time down here talking about persuasion, focus groups, marketing charts, strategies, research, briefs, all down here, and nobody sees what we're doing because we don't put any attention into it. The most important sentence on the brief is never written on the brief, never written on any brief. I've never seen it on any brief. What's the most important sentence on a brief that's never written on a brief? People must notice this advertising. Everyone assumes that just because we do it, it's going to be noticed. Well, we know 89% isn't. Better than that, 3 out of 100,000 isn't. So, if we know that impact is the most important part of the human mind, and the most important part of our job, nothing can happen without impact. Of course, that on its own isn't enough, but we know nothing can happen without it. And we know that 90% fails there. So, how does impact work? Keeping it simple, again. How impact works. It's called Gestalt. It's how the human mind works. This is really how the human mind works. Gestalt. The human mind is a pattern-making machine. That you're not aware of it yourself. You don't notice it yourself. But if you have any children, when they are born, first born, Freud says children move from the state of id when they are born into a state of ego over their first few months. Now, ego doesn't mean big-headed. Ego means I am. So ego, when you're born, you're just in a state of awareness. You don't know anything is anything, that you are separate to anything else. Everything is just awareness. Gradually, over the first few months, you move into learning that you are separate to it, ego. And you do that by putting everything in your mouth and biting it. You bite your blanket, you bite your crib, you bite your fingers, you bite your toes, and gradually your mind works out, if it hurts, it's me, if it doesn't hurt, it's not me. It's binary. It's like a computer. It works really fast. Binary is how your mind handles the plethora of information coming at it. Up, down, in, out, black, white, off, on, hot, cold, left, right. Everything is sorted. Now, we know it's more complicated than that in actuality, but for speed, everything works on a binary. Now, knowing that, your mind is a pattern-making machine. It sorts everything out really fast faster than you're even aware of, everything into patterns, into groups. And then grouping them, you can sort them into subsets. But if I did that, how many digits did I hold up? 10. You don't have time to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What you do is 2 hands, all his fingers are out on each, 2 5s is 10. That's how your mind works. It groups things into patterns really quickly. So, now we know this. This is really interesting to show to clients, by the way, because Rory Sutherland said, which is really true, is creative people have a fear of the obvious, but they must sell their work to people who have a love of the obvious. Nobody ever bothers explaining to clients why we don't want to look like everybody else. So nobody explains it, so clients don't know. Nobody ever tells clients, for a client, security is in looking like everybody else. Now actually, we know that makes you invisible. You're one of the 90% that doesn't get seen. But we've never explained that to clients. If you explain Gestalt to clients, how the mind works, you explain that we're not just doing it weird and wacky because we want to be weird and wacky. There's a very good business reason in it. Here's the human mind, and If we put 19 commercials in here, and they're identical, 19 identical commercials, and we had a 20th, what share of your mind have we got? 1 out of 20. 5%, right? But we now know about the mind being a pattern-making machine and separating things off into hot, cold, left, right, up, down, in, out. And from your first basic point of everything that's me and everything that isn't me, from id to ego, we now know if we do that, we haven't got 5%, because that isn't like everything else. What your mind will do is it will separate it now into two groups. It will be binary. It's got everything that's like that and everything that isn't like that. So just by being different, by a factor of 10, we've got ourselves on the map. Now, of course that's not enough on its own, but that will get you past the impact hurdle. That will get you past the first space. And what we've done is we've repositioned the competition. We didn't just position ourselves, because in order to position ourselves, we repositioned the competition. So that what happens, if you were running a commercial break, if you were running it in the commercial break, you'd say first commercial, second commercial, third commercial, fourth commercial, fifth commercial, sixth commercial, seventh commercial. Which commercial is going to be the most effective out of all those, of us remembering tomorrow after the break's over? Is it the first circle or the second circle? Or is it the fifth circle, which won a D&AD award, or the sixth circle, which is a copy of the D&AD award, which is even better? Those are the conversations that go on in ad agencies. Nobody will do this because it's not a circle. Everybody, clients, everybody in ad agencies will be doing different sorts of circles. And what will happen is whoever decides to do that will actually end up like that. If you own the question, you own the context. If you get upstream and own the question, you own the context. If you own the context, you own the mind. Because by doing that, you've changed the context. You've repositioned the context as now two. Everything that's like that and everything that isn't like that. Whereas previously, it was just another one of those. And you had a 1 out of 20 shot. Now you've got a 1 out of 2 shot. It's a bit abstract, said like that. So I'll give you, for instance, of what I mean. I don't know if you know much about American history, but we'll try it. Don't shout out the answer, but hold up your hand. Hold up your hand if you know who was the 44th President of America. The 44th President of America. Anybody? Nobody. Okay. Hold up your hand if you know who was the first black President of America. Everybody. It's the same person. All I did was change the question. All I did was, instead of saying he's another president, I said he's a black president, which immediately your mind did that. Yeah? Up until then, he's just another white guy. Like every other president. As soon as you make him a black president, your mind does that. Now, that's ideally the role for planning. That's ideally the role for strategic thinking. Ideally, if you can get it's a brave client that will do that, because in the real world, what most clients will be doing is saying, ooh, we don't want to mention the fact that he's black. Well, I think they might have noticed. In which case, I think you've got a choice. Either make it a positive or find yourself a white guy. But don't have a black bloke and not mention it. To learn how to take your negative and turn it into a positive, and in doing that, you reposition the competition. Now, this is really simple, and simple is has to be the way to do it, and all the power is in simplicity. Because otherwise, you are destined to sit in the fucking car and not try the door handle. Because you're too frightened that you'll look silly and dinosaur thinking by not trying the door handle. So all I'm saying is just learn to be the X, and learn to try the door handle. And don't get sucked into all the same old stuff as everybody else. Your mind wants you to do what everybody else does. I have found they don't let me near junior clients because junior clients are frightened and junior clients want to zero. They want to look like everybody else. But if they've got a senior client coming in, chief exec or an MD, they usually get me in to talk to them because then we'll have a proper conversation, an entrepreneurial conversation about where's the opportunity here. Not just, this is arse covering conversations. This is an entrepreneurial conversation. Junior clients want arse covering conversations. I don't want to get fired. I want to say what I've just learned by reading all the case histories and doing what everybody else did. Senior clients are like, if I'm putting 10 million behind this, I don't want it to just vanish. I want to know what I'm getting for it. So senior clients, you have, where's the fucking door handle kind of conversations. Yeah? Okay, thanks.